Hello everyone, today I am here to share some spring reads. So you guys know I love seasonal reads, I love seasonal tags. I'm just a very seasonal person. My mood changes with the season, my taste in music changes with the season and decor. Just I think a lot of us are seasonal. I'm very, very seasonal. But with that means I like to do a lot of like seasonal reads. Like my reading shifts seasonally. So today I thought I'd share with you some spring reads. So what I attribute to spring reads. My summer reads are very much like beach reads. They take place in the summer. They oftentimes take place in a beachy town or beachy kind of setting. And then, it just has that kind of summer feel. And then when I have fall reads, they're much more atmospheric. They take place in the fall. It's maybe somewhere where the fall is very, very abundant, like maybe up north and things like that. So those really attribute to the seasons for sure when I think of summer and fall reads. Now, when it comes to spring reads, it's like, are you going to find books that take place in April, May, and June? It's hard to say. Spring reads to me are just kind of lighter books that get you out of that kind of winter funk, because I know a lot of us deal with seasonal depression, me included. I hate winter. I loathe it every single year. It's dark, it's dreary, everything's, flowers and trees are just dead, and spring is, new life again. So budding, trees are budding, grass is growing back. So it's kind of like just a lighter note. So today's book necessarily don't take place in spring, but they just have kind of a lighter feel, if you will. Books that are kind of happier, books that will make you smile, that'll get you out of that internal winter funk. I know there's some people out there that love winter. I can't understand it, but I'm glad you do, because we need people that love winter. I'm just not one of them. So let's get into it. I don't have too many books. The first book I want to talk about, I've been recommending nonstop with good reason, because it's amazing, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea. This is particularly for you if you have been in a funk with winter, having the winter blues, the seasonal depression. If you want something that's just going to make you smile and be like, things are okay, this is the book for you. This book is literally a smile, a hug in a book, a ray of sunshine in a book. So this book, we follow a character named Linus who works for the government, and he pretty much goes to check on orphanages for magical youth, because magical youth exist. They're not really revered in this world. They're kind of frowned upon. So he goes to check orphanages to make sure the owner that's running the orphanage is doing good, treating the kids right, make sure the kids are good, and things like that. He gets assigned this super secret top mission to go to this orphanage that nobody's heard before, and it has kind of the worst of the worst kids. So he goes there, and it's this house literally in this really, really obscure island, and he finds like a 200-something-year-old gnome, like a big green blob monster, and then also the son of the devil. There. And so he is immediately like, whoa, there's a lot going on. And he's always had the notion to never fall in love with the kids, just do his job. But of course, the more time he spends with these kids, fall in love with them, and also maybe falling in love with the orphanage's owner. This is just a warm hug of a book. It's perfect to pull you out of that winter blues funk kind of thing. Trust me, it's there. If you want something that's funnier, that's going to make you laugh and have a good time, to make you think of like, things are okay, things are looking up, because I feel you. Winter sucks. Also, I've told you time and time again, sickness is just never ending in our house. And I get depressed about it constantly, because I'm like, it's like a never ending cycle. And I know a lot of parents out there can attest to that. It's just like one kid gets sick, one kid gets over it, then a parent gets sick, then the other kid gets sick. And it's just like over and over and over again. And I'm like, is this ever going to end? We ever going to have like a couple weeks break? I don't know. But either way, if you want a book that's like, let me make you laugh, Dale for Aunties by Jessie Q. Santano is one of them. This is a cozy mystery, and this is also great for somebody that wants to get into mysteries that is not really wanting the gore, the kind of overly mysterious, but just a good time. This is a great book for you. So this book, we follow a character named Meddy, who has a lot of meddling aunties, and she's never really loved the idea of love, because everyone in her family, the guy has left them, so she's always stuck close to her mom and her aunties. And then basically one night she goes on this blind date set up by her mom, and at the end of the date, her date ends up dead, and she's like, oh man. And so basically the whole book takes place during a wedding because they're all working for like this, they all like have a wedding business. One's the photographer, one's the baker, you get it. And they have to like cover up this dead body. And meanwhile, she runs into her college sweetheart that she loved so much and kind of let go. And it's just a fun book that's going to make you laugh out loud. You definitely have to set your expectations for the side. You definitely have to set your expectations to the side with this one because it's very just like over the top, but it's a fun time. I really enjoyed it. Would highly recommend it. A great time for a spring read for sure. Next up, if you want a romance, I have Part of Your World by Abby Hymezen. This one is her newest release, and this one is kind of like a rich girl meets a poor boy and kind of fall in love, but they can't be together because of extenuating circumstances. We've all read that book before. But this book, we follow a character named Alexis, who is an ER doctor, and her parents are kind of revered in the medical world. Like, she's supposed to be the general, like the chief of surgery when it comes to ER, and she doesn't know she wants that. She's just, you know, she's a lot different. And then she meets Daniel, who lives in this very, very small town. He's like the mayor of this small town. He's like a carpenter. He runs a bed and breakfast, and she falls in love with him, but she's like, we can't be together because we're from two separate worlds and it would never work. But it's just an adorable read. The small town atmosphere, if you love books that are set in small towns and have a good small town feel with all the characters and townies in them, this is a great book for that. This book does touch on abuse, both emotional abuse and physical abuse, so just be aware of that. It does seem like a light and fluffy read, but it does have some depth into it. It's not like hardcore into abuse, but it does talk about it, just so you're forewarned. But I really love this book. It wasn't one of my favorite books by her, but I still really enjoyed it. And it's a great kind of just breath of fresh air romance. Next up, we have a recent read that could also be a summer read. So I wouldn't be surprised if I mentioned this for summer too, but I just finished it and I love it, so I have to talk about it. And that is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I love Emily Henry books, especially her adult ones. I don't like her YA books, but I love her adult ones. So this book, we follow a character named Nora, and Nora is a literary agent who's like known as a shark. Like, she will do anything for her clients. She will also do anything for her little sister. So when her little sister's like, I need a break, I'm expecting my third kid, I'm like tired, I need some time off, let's go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for a month and just like take a breath. She is hesitant, but she's like, it's for my sister, so I'll do it. So she goes there and she runs into an editor named Charlie, who she knows from New York, and they don't have the best of relationship, but somehow they end up working together on this particular book. And this book is kind of different from your usual romantic tropes. You know, in the very beginning of the book, Nora says that she you know, is the rigid kind of girl that's got the sharp bob that wears the high heels. You know, in the beginning of romance movies, that's the kind of guy's girlfriend. And then the guy goes to the small town and meets like the inn's daughter, or like, you know, a baker, and falls in love with her, and he leaves the city girlfriend behind. She's the city girlfriend. So she's been left multiple times in those scenarios. So she's always got this kind of, you know, bad notion of love. So this one takes the opposite, where she goes to the small town, and you would think that she would fall in love with the small town, but she's like, I'm gonna go out to New York, I'm not fit for here. So it's very interesting in that regard, but it's a great hate to love romance. Again, it's set in a small town. It's got a great sisterly vibe. I loved it. I've loved every Emily Henry romance book there is because they're just so good. So I love this one, would highly recommend it. And then we have another romance book I just finished, and that is The Wedding Crasher by Mia Soso. This book is about a character named Solange, who at the beginning of the book is helping out her cousin because her cousin is like a wedding planner at this wedding, right? And so she goes in the stairwell and she hears the bride and someone who's not the groom talking, and they're like expressing their love for each other. And he's like, don't marry him. And she's like, I have to. And she's like, oh crap. So when the wedding starts and you know, somebody's like, if anybody shall object to this marriage, speak now. Solange is like, yeah, I object. Like, do you really want to get married? And the bride's like, no, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna leave. And so basically what ends up happening is the groom, the supposed to be groom, Daniel, and Solange end up fake dating because he's like, you owe me. And she's like, you know, I did ruin your wedding. And it's just a really cute romance book that I really enjoy. You know, spring is a big time for weddings. Spring and summer, I think spring, summer, and fall are a really big time for weddings. There's not a lot of winter weddings. I can't imagine why. But this one was really cute. It's got the fake dating romance trope and things like that that I really enjoyed. Then we have Party Crasher by Sophie Kinsella. This book is about a character named Effie who basically her dad has this house that has been in their family forever. It's kind of this really odd, obscure house, and he is selling it, and he's selling it with his new wife that Effie hates. And so he's throwing this party, you know, this goodbye to the house party, and Effie ends up crashing it because she's not invited to it, and she's like, I'm gonna find my prized possessions and I'm gonna get out of here. But of course, she tries to sneak in and sneak out, and she hears a lot of conversations that she should not be hearing. She runs into her ex-boyfriend, and it's just kind of a very typical Sophie Kinsella book. She's a chick lit author. It's just kind of crazy, kooky, fun, I guess you could say. I never said the word kooky before, but time for something new every time. But anyway, it was just a fun book. If you just want a book that will take your mind off of things, get you in that spring mood when it comes to like just laughter and happiness and things like that, this is a great one for you. The last book I want to recommend is The Sweet Spot by Trish Dollar. This is a book about a character named Rachel who's a single mom, and she is sick of kind of just always kind of giving her another chance. She's like, you know, I'm going to start fresh. So she gets an opportunity to be like this hotel manager for this hotel in Lake Erie. Basically, she moves her and her daughter there. She uproots her whole life. She wants a fresh start. And what is spring great for? But fresh starts, like spring cleaning, stuff like that, fresh start. So when she gets there, she learns that she's not a hotel manager because this hotel is not even like finished yet. And she meets the guy that's running it named Mason, and he wants it to be like a brewery slash hotel. And he's like, yeah, I hired you to be my hotel manager, but I need help like making the hotel. It's like kind of like an inn, and it's just a really great book for fresh starts, for starting over from scratch, from, you know, things like that. And it's kind of a quieter type of romance book, but I really enjoyed it. This is the author that wrote The Float Plan, which, you know, is one of my favorite books of all time, but I didn't love it nearly as much as that one. But it's still a great book, again, for the whole notion of fresh starts. It's got great single parent representation, and I enjoyed it. So there you have some spring book recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you thought some of these were kind of spring book worthy, I guess you could say. I don't know what really classifies a spring book. You have to let me know. Like, if a book that's like set in Easter, for sure spring, but I don't know a single book that does that. But I would love to know what books you recommend for spring. Please leave them in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.